Had me in your life and you kept up over and again. You violated my privacy. You violated my space. You did it behind my back. I almost died. You understand? So I don't have time for this breaking news. The whole set turned into pandemonium as Rasheeda publicly attacked Mona Scott. What led to this startling encounter? Who would have ever guessed that a celebrity like Rasheeda would be sacked publicly like this? Mona Scott's unusual choice has touched off a chain of consequences. And this is only the beginning. If you thought the drama with Young Jock and Kirk was old news, think again. These two are back in the heart of the storm. Kendra, who formerly made her own way on the program, is now aligning herself with Mona Scott. This has just turned into one major controversy that you did not see. Kirk supporting Rasheeda as always has brought things to a whole new level. Young Jock, who's been under heat for his previous issues, is now being, and then there's Kendra, who's attempting to alter the story to suit her own goal with Mona Scott. Where will this drama go next? Hold your seats because things just taken a crazy turn on the set of one of the most famous reality series. We're talking about Rasheeda, the rapper turned reality TV queen, who just took a huge shot at none other than Mona Scott, the lady behind the show that has been making headlines for years. Rasheeda's assault on Mona Scott is not simply a verbal quarrel. This is true drama, people, that may wreck jobs, shift alliances, and frankly, make or break reputations. If you want to hear how it all went down, keep listening because before we go into Rasheeda's public breakdown, let us speak about the cast and why their actions relationships have been in the limelight for so long. If you've been following the drama, you know Young Jock, the man who can't seem to get out of, and of course there's Kirk, the guy who's established a reputation for himself by being in the heart of every battle. These may have had troubles in the past, but let's just say they weren't exactly making news today until, of course, the Rasheeda-Mona Scott confrontation occurred. Let's not forget about Kendra, the lady who has always been at odds with some of the greatest people on this program. For years, she's been placing herself on the map, aligning herself with strong figures and working hard to climb the ladder. But in an unexpected turn, she suddenly found herself embroiled in the crossfire between Rasheeda and Mona Scott. Rasheeda stated that the whole event was planned by Mona Scott herself, which brought Kendra's loyalties into doubt. You're undoubtedly asking, how did this all happen? So grab some popcorn because this tale is about to get even. Rasheeda, a well-known rapper and entrepreneur, is no stranger to the limelight, on being strong, focused, and, most importantly, unashamedly herself. She's one of the primary players in the show's history, and her presence has been a driving force for ratings and audience engagement. But all of a sudden, this pillar of strength came crumbling down. If you've seen even a single episode of this reality program, you know the sort of drama that's always brewing. The cast members have a way of stirring things up, causing turmoil for the cameras, and making sure that no one remains out of the spotlight for too long. But when Rasheeda took a public swipe at Mona Scott, it wasn't simply the typical planned drama. This seemed personal. So what occurred? According to leaked claims and insider information, shout out to our anonymous sources, Rasheeda had been growing upset with the way the program was handled for some time. She felt that her image was being twisted for the benefit of numbers. And no matter how, despite her efforts to remain loyal to her brand, Mona Scott was pulling the strings behind the scenes to bring the focus to the most problematic members of the Rasheeda strike. Wasn't a spontaneous outburst. It was a deliberate maneuver. She had finally had enough. Scott runs, she's the genius behind the program, but she's also famed for producing dramatic, often catastrophic plots that put cast members against one another. The show's popularity is dependent on turmoil, but Rasheeda wasn't going to let herself be the punching bag longer. She arrived at Mona Scott with all she had. The argument occurred on site with the cameras running. Of course, nothing occurs without an audience, right? Rasheeda reportedly marched up to Mona Scott in front of the crew and cast, shouting out the producer for distorting her appearance and painting her. Mona, the professional, attempted to keep cool and collected, but the strain was evident. One insider even remarked that the air was so thick with hate that you could cut it with a knife. Young Jock, who has been known to stir up problems, was apparently seated close. Watching the drama develop, of course, he had his own ideas on the subject, and knowing Jock, it wouldn't be long before he threw in his dissents, but Kirk, Rasheeda's ever-loyal husband, got into the fight and accused Mona Scott of fostering a poisonous environment. Climate on set, things grew even more heated when Kendra, who was known to keep her cards close to her breast, unexpectedly put her support for Mona Scott. It was almost like a double betrayal. She was associating herself with Mona after all of the turmoil that had happened. Some reports reported that Kendra was only doing this because she had higher dreams and needed Mona's support to climb the reality TV ladder. It's not a leap to believe that Kendra Dada was purposefully putting herself in the heart of this upheaval to establish a reputation for herself. So there you have it. The storm is brewing, and it's only going to get worse from here. Rasheeda's daring action to assault Mona Scott has set off a sequence of events that will transform the program forever. But that's not all. Just a simple instance of one celebrity having a tantrum. There are significant ramifications in the works. Legal action, public outrage, and a whole lot of drama are on. And as the mayhem begins to develop, the public is left wondering what's next. How far will Rasheeda go to ensure that her side of the story is heard? Where does that leave Mona Scott and the rest of the group, especially young Jock, Kirk, and Kendra? Just when you thought things couldn't possibly worse after Rasheeda's on-set blow-up, the tension behind the scenes detonated like a ticking time bomb, with producers scurrying cast members, whispering cameras capturing every tiny eye roll, side eye, and backhanded statement. Mona Scott may have attempted to keep things calm on the exterior, but behind the following morning, rumors spread like wildfire from several sources, including those who claim to be aides, hairstylists, and even one unnamed grip on site verified that Rasheeda has been formally removed from the cast lineup, dismissed, cut, blacklisted, gone. Just like that, Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit were inundated with justice for Rasheeda postings and conspiracy theories concerning Mona Scott's vengeance against any cast member who dares to speak up. But here's where it gets spicy. It turns out Rasheeda wasn't the only one given the door. Is Kirk? Yes. Her faithful and sometimes troubled spouse was fired along with her. Producers supposedly decided that keeping him on the program restart the fire, as one source passionately described it. And guess what? That wasn't all. Young Jock, who had nothing to do with the fight personally but is too close to the problem, was also let go. The producers argued they wanted a fresh start, a new cast direction with less history and more heat. They're cutting all the AEGs who know the game too well and aren't ready to sell their souls longer. And let's not forget about Kendra, because baby girl believed she was safe. She endorsed Mona Scott, played the loyal card, and hoped it would get her a gleaming seat at the top, but unfortunately, she got the chop as well. Why? According to another unnamed source, producers were wary of her being inconsistent on camera. Some days she was furious, while others she was robotic. Exit called her background noise with the legal title. Can you think after all that drama and treachery, she still was dumped like last season's storyline? Four's Rasheeda, Kirk, Young Jock, and Kendra gone in one ruthless sweep. And that's when people really lost it. One Reddit post went viral with the heading "Mona cleaning house or committing professional suicide." The response is nasty. One person said she just fired the only people keeping the program alive. Who's next? The camera guy. You can't fire Rasheeda and expect us to keep watching. She's the glue, boo. Even some former cast members joined, chipping in, labeling the mass dismissal a hit job. Then came the bombshell. A leaked audio tape supposedly recorded Rasheeda in an angry post-firing phone. In the recording, a lady identified as Rasheeda can be heard stating, "She'd been plotting on me. Mona ain't ever wanted me to shine. She simply wanted me quiet." And the male voice responds, "Man, we should have bounced last season. We ain't nothing but puppets to her." You know how the internet works. This tape became viral within minutes. Fans began blaming Mona Scott, is accused of being a manipulative producer who puts black women against one other for profit. The hashtag boycott Mona Scott trended today. Straight, but of course, Mona Scott didn't sit back silently. She went to Instagram Live with her trademark businesswoman face, giving her fans a calm, sophisticated. She didn't name names, but she did remark, sometimes growth requires change. You can't carry dead weight if you're trying to fly dead. Let's just say the statement did not go down well with the fan base. Within minutes, one person responded, "Dead weight? You mean the people who made your show iconic?" While another submitted a compilation video. Rasheeda, Kirk, Young Jock, and Kendra's most viral moments with the tagline, "These are the people you fired, the real stars." And as all this internet commotion was occurring, guess who decided to get real shady? Young Jock uploaded a mysterious IG story of himself laughing in a bathrobe. With the message, "Unbothered, we been knew what it was, new money loading." People quickly regarded it as a sign of the Fire cast members may be arranging something behind the scenes, such as a new program, spin-off, or even a tell-all. Some sources are even alleging a competing network has approached Rasheeda and the others to create a new reality idea that reveals the truth behind the filming of these harmful programs. Imagine if the dismissed crew returned as whistleblowers instead of dirty characters. That would be poetic justice. Meanwhile, Kendra, who has always she broke her silence with a single black and white selfie captioned, "Loyalty is a two-way street, and some of y'all just travel one direction, simple, clean, and oh so sinister." The comment section blew up with supporters urging her sophisticated and mature while others were demanding her to drop her seats. And don't worry, the drama doesn't stop there. Insiders claim Mona Scott is outraged, just because of the public outcry, but because she supposedly feels betrayed by cast members she helped construct. Some sources claim she's now threatening to strike. Rasheeda and Young Jock may face breach of contract litigation if they attempt to develop or perform in a competing production too soon. One source even claimed Mona was overheard, stating they want to burn down the home I constructed, not on my watch, sweetheart. Now we're talking attorneys and possible lawsuits. It's not just reality TV anymore. This is beginning to appear like a real-life battle zone between producer and artist, and fans are enjoying it all up. TikTok accounts are doing full breakdowns of the repercussions. YouTube channels releasing our extensive exposés with clickbait thumbnails featuring Rasheeda with devil horns and Mona Scott with flames behind her. Everyone wants to know what occurred behind those cameras. But there's more. You won't believe what Rasheeda did next. No one saw coming. She tweeted a picture of herself outside of a studio, yes, a music studio, with the message, "Back to my roots, I don't need reality to be." Is it her subtle way of indicating she's done with the drama and going back to music? Or is it another layer in her clap back to Mona Scott, like, "I don't need your cameras, boo. I'm the brand," whatever her strategy is. One thing's clear, she's not going gently, and the firings, betrayals, and shade are just the appetizer for the actual catastrophe that's going to occur behind closed doors. Think legal. Threatening reveal contracts, maybe even the end of breaking leaks from former staff members. We've heard murmurs of video that never broadcast scenes that were altered to depict individuals as monsters, and maybe, just maybe, a full-blown outflow of talent eager to speak their side. Buckle up, it gets more uglier. So now with Rasheeda, Kirk, Young, Jock, and Kendra, all performers from the event, and the internet still in flames, you'd think things would start calming down, right? Folks, this ain't that sort of narrative. This ain't even the climax yet. The way things develop next, guy, is straight out of a scandal-filled Netflix dois right after. Rasheeda hinted at returning to music, leaving many puzzled, some excited, others doubtful. But guess what happened next? A cryptic trailer appeared. Online, no official network, no names, no faces, just a rough voice stating they shared their tales. Now it's time to reveal the truth. And then it fades to black brew. The internet erupted. Everyone began speculating. Was this the Rasheeda and Jock spinoff? Was Kirk finally ready to talk about his genuine behind-the-scenes tension with production? Was Kendra going to disclose what actually transpired at the reunion? Filming people were clamoring for answers. Then the leaks began. Someone no one knows leaked images of claimed emails between the production crew and network executives. These texts indicated major tensions between Mona Scott and the unusual cast. One email even featured a sentence reading, "We have to put a tighter grip on Rasheeda. She's acquiring too much power over her narrative." Wait, so they intended to dictate her storyline? That was enough to throw supporters into full-on protest mode. Concept that these reality stars weren't simply living their life on TV, but were scripted, chopped, and modified to suit a profit-driven narrative, not people. Were upset. Then young Jock went back into the limelight, this time conducting an Instagram live that had over 200,000 views in less than 15 minutes. He began with, "I wasn't going to say nothing, but since y'all keep asking," and then unleashed bomb after bomb. He said producers ordered him to embellish his relationship issues, that some of his breakups weren't even true, and that Kendra was altered in ways that made her seem stiff and detached, but in real life she was the only one attempting to keep things respectable. He also implied that sequences were filmed months apart, but edited together to make it appear like turmoil was occurring back to back. He stated they played chess with our lives in that sequence. Food, that put the internet on fire. And while that live was still going, Kirk, who normally low-key decided he was done playing nice and produced a 2-minute video titled "They Tried to Bury Me." He looked straight at the camera, no showy cuts, no music, and said, "They knew who I was before I came on this program. They exploited my marriage, my commitment, made me into a narrative line." He also dropped a phrase that left admirers screaming, "If you only knew how many times they attempted to persuade me to fabricate a controversy simply to remain on the program." Meanwhile, Mona Scott became radio quiet, claimed she was entering full crisis control mode behind closed doors. Allegedly, she was farming networks to attempt to prohibit the AEGs from presenting additional programming. Even alleges she offered hush money to specific staff members to not speak about what they observed on set, but not everyone was for sale. A previous production worker calling herself Set Girl 32 released a thread on X, formerly Twitter, laying down what she witnessed throughout season 9. She cast members were advised who to dispute with, and emotional sequences were rewritten if they didn't weep hard enough. Stated there was a list of narrative goals taped up in the producer's office. "I would want to know what was written under Rasheeda's name, strong wife, but always forgive him in the end. Man, that's sad." And here's where things get even crazier. Kendra, who had been silent since her one-way street post, published a full-blown interview on YouTube with the Blackhound Media Company, in which she explained her whole experience on the program and how her legal career was. She said, "I didn't join up to be a villain. I signed up to prove that a black lady might be strong and yet be loved. Instead, they made me cold, resentful, and disposable." You could sense the anguish in her voice. Even the interviewer was startled. The comment section was full with support. Some people said she should sue, while others encouraged her to join Rasheeda and Young Jock on their amazing. 2 weeks later, an official teaser for a new unscripted doe series was released, confirming the rumors that had been floating around. Dubbed Reality Rehab, behind the fame, and guess who were the executive producers? Rasheeda, Young Jocks, and Kendra. Yep. They used their grief, anguish, and turmoil and converted it into power. The program claims to deliver raw, uncensored insight to what truly occurs behind the reality TV lens. We saw Rasheeda weeping in her dressing room, Jock smashing his phone in despair, and Kendra telling a producer, "I'm not going to cry for a check." Fans were shocked. Meanwhile, Mona Scott hasn't addressed any of it publicly, but her business discreetly pulled all footage from their main YouTube channel, showcasing the SAC cast members petty much and the lawsuits. "Oh, they're coming." Rasheeda said during a podcast interview that her attorneys are looking into several breaches, not only wrongful firing, but also defamation, improper use of private moments. She went on to say, "I've let them ruin my image for far too long. It's time I took it back." That statement became viral within, and networks are competing for the rights to telecast Reality Rehab. Streaming titans such as Netflix, Hulu, and even Amazon Prime are allegedly in discussions. Sources believe whichever platform secures the agreement might draw in record-breaking views for unscripted material. But let's be honest, this is more than a TV show. It's about power control and the way Black talent women, in particular, have been exploited in the name of entertainment. and fans are waking up. They are backing Rasheeda, Kendra, Jock, and Kirk not just as cast members, but as creators who eventually breached the fourth wall and stated, "Nah, we're not doing this anymore." And as for Moma Scott, whether she claps back, retreats, or doubles down, we will have to wait and see. But one thing is certain, her legacy will never be the same. This circumstance has flipped the script, literally.